Welcome to Going In Blind. I'm your host, Zach Tidwell, and this week I'm speaking with up-and-coming Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu phenom, Ally Wolski. And to everyone at home, thank you for listening. Please take a second to help me grow the show so that I can keep delivering these conversations week after week for years to come. Subscribe, rate, and review the show in whatever podcasting app you're using right now, and check out the show notes to follow me on social media and YouTube as well. When you share your favorite episodes, tag me and use the hashtag GoingInBlind. You can also join my mailing list at zachtidwell.net. And if you know someone you think I should talk to, have them send me an email at contact.goinginblind@gmail.com. Ally Wolski.
Hello.
Thank you for coming in this trying time. I've really been wanting to get someone on here to discuss this drone epidemic that we have coming on, and I'm glad that you decided to come out of your QAnon forums for a little bit to discuss all of this with us.
Oh yeah, I definitely know the most about it.
So for everyone listening, this is Ally Wolski. I met her through jiu-jitsu, except we've gone down very, very different paths. I'm a casual jiu-jitsu practitioner. I do it because I enjoy it. It's fun. It's something that's hard and challenging, and it's really good exercise. She, on the other hand, has become totally obsessed with it and is an up-and-coming professional in the sport. And we're going to dive into a little bit of her background today, and then what it's been like for making this huge step into this next level and continuing to rise. Does that sound fair?
Sounds good.
Okay. So yeah, so when I met you, we were both living in Denver. We trained at the same gym, and you would absolutely annihilate me then, but I was a brand new jiu-jitsu practitioner and I was blind. So I realized you were good. I didn't realize what was going to come. And even when I met you, you were early on. I think you just started a couple months before me, and I'm about to hit 4 years since I started.
Yep.
You were already kind of a monster, just a little angry monster. And from there, I just saw you for the first time in like 2 years, and now we've had a chance to catch up, and I knew where you were at then. You came from a background that it's not like you came into jiu-jitsu expecting for this to become your thing. Your background, you'd gone to college for graphic design, kind of meandered your way into instructing snowboarding, and even for people with disabilities, which was kind of a weird thing that we ended up having in common. But at what point, tell us how, like, what that progression was from getting into jiu-jitsu to kind of taking that first path, that
Yeah.
first step down the path.
So I had moved from Vermont to Colorado because I got a job coaching at Winter Park, coaching their like competitive snowboard team, like park freestyle, half pipe type of stuff. And I had a friend that lived in Denver. We had like previously coached soccer together in Vermont, and he had a room available in his apartment. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna move to Denver first, and then make my way towards the mountains for the winter. And then in that time when I was living in the city, my dad was like real worried about me being so far away from home for the first time, and then also like in a big city that's like, not super super safe everywhere.
And it's only gotten worse. Yeah.
It's only gotten worse, yeah. So he was like, "Hey, can you just do some kind of self-defense?" So I tried a couple things. I also like needed to do something active. I was like running, and I hate running, but I needed to get energy out. So I was like, I need to do something. So I did
Like a hamster.
like a hamster, yeah, exactly. So I did a couple like Krav Maga classes, and those were super dumb because it was like cardio kickboxing. Like I'm sure there's Krav Maga that exists that's good, but the one that I was doing was very like you could tell it was just like McDojo style, like pretty fake just to go get a sweat, which is
Like
cool.
1 inch punch kind of stuff.
Exactly. And like just like weird, like pulling the seatbelt away from your neck and spinning all weird. They're just things that felt like it wouldn't really work. But then I started my first class ever was at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu in
That's
yeah,
Eddie Bravo's affiliate. Is that correct?
yeah,
Okay.
he's the owner of all the 10th Planets.
Okay.
There's a gym there that's like pretty near my house, and I did like 2 classes my first day because I thought it was cool. And then I was like, I'm just gonna check around some other places. I think it was kind of expensive was the reason why. And I went to Dark Horse, which is where you and I met, and it was just a little cheaper there. And they had like this orientation thing in the beginning, which kind of taught you some like basic moves. So I felt like I was like it was easier to integrate myself into this like new sport there because it was like very beginner friendly there. And then, yeah, I just got obsessed with it. I was going to like multiple classes a day. And then I found out you could compete as a beginner adult. And then that was kind of where it all took off.
Well, and even, I mean, I think when we've talked about it, I think you started like a month or two before me, if that. I mean, it was literally right around the same time. And by the time that I met you in January, I think of 21, you were already hitting multiple classes a day. Like that's not normal. Also, I just realized your dad's a cop. Why didn't he tell you to get a gat and stay strapped?
He's not actually very pro gun. He's like, he has them for himself, for like, cause he's a cop. But he always
Yeah.
had them like locked away in a closet growing up. Yeah, he's just not very pro gun. He thinks that like he wishes that nobody would have them and like if anybody had them it would just be like law enforcement. But yeah, he wanted me to do other self-defense other than that.
That's interesting. I'd be curious to know because for people listening, Krav Maga is, I, I, it comes from a good place. I'm pretty sure it was. It, I could be wrong here. I believe it was developed by the Israelis, and it's basically self defense in the with the idea that you are going to maim or kill your opponent. Like it's using your keys to jab people's eyes out and crazy stuff like that. Whereas with jujitsu is more like wrestling, but you have these joint manipulations and these chokes that you can use to force your opponents to submit, or you can put them to sleep or break their limbs. And so you can still mangle someone, but it's a very different focus. And
Yeah.
was your dad when you told your dad that you were taking Krav Maga classes, did he just roll his eyes or what?
Yeah, kind of. He didn't roll his eyes. He was like, "Oh, that sounds cool. How was it?" And then I basically told him it felt fake.
Yeah.
And then kind of as soon as I started doing jujitsu, he knew what that was because I think they do some judo in like the police academy or whatever, just
Yeah.
like basic foot sweeps and stuff. So he knew what jujitsu was. I had no idea what it was, and he was like pretty stoked as soon as I started that I had tried that out.
Has he gotten into it since you've gotten into it?
No, I made him come to I was, like, home visiting maybe, like, a year and a half ago or something, and I made him come with me to a class at, like, one of the local gyms, and we partnered up, and he was fine. He did everything. He was doing good. He was a little stiff, but at the end, we get in the car, and I was like, "So what'd you think?" And he goes, it was kinda weird." So I've just never really pushed him to do it again, but yeah.
Yeah. That's a bummer. I mean, we at my gym that I train at now, there's a ton of cops in there. And I mean, I'm a huge proponent of that. Also, I love the idea of someone trying to get handsy with a cop and just getting fucking manhandled by a cop who's trained, it's like very adept at jujitsu or whether it's that or, striking, whatever it is. I think that stuff's so important. And like, we went through the military has like all the military ranges have hand-to-hand combat training, and it's more of like the McDojo kind of experience you were talking about. I mean, it's like the Marine Corps had McMap, and it's the Marine Corps martial arts program, and you belt up and all this stuff, and it's centered around training in your plate carriers and in your gear and stuff like that. But it is kind of a joke. I mean, it teaches you very basic stuff, but I don't know. I was kind of curious to see if maybe, I mean, your dad's in that line of work. where like that very well could be a real thing that he needs to rely on one day. So I was curious.
All I know is he has this one story where he had to like go break up a domestic uh dispute, and it was this guy and his girlfriend in the parking lot at the Dunkin' Donuts, which is very Massachusetts.
Also, very like bad. There's a lot of cops at Dunkin' Donuts. It's probably a bad spot.
It's probably where he was hanging out, let's be real.
Yeah.
So he saw this going down, and I guess he like pulled up and was like questioning them, and then the guy threw drugs into the road and then went around. And my dad sprinted after him and foot swept him, like kicked his feet out from under him. And the guy was like wailing. He was like, "Oh my God, you broke my leg." And my dad's like, "Nah, you're fine." And the EMTs pull up and they're like, "Nah, dude, you're fine. Like get in the ambulance, whatever." And the guy lifts up his leg and his foot's just dangling from his shin.
Oh,
I kicked his ankle out.
that's gnarly.
Yeah, but keep in mind he was just like 10 minutes before like beating the crap out of his girlfriend. So, I think it was kind of justified.
Oh yeah, I mean, it sounds like he deserved it. Either way, I mean, it's just that's a fun outcome for everyone, you know?
Pretty
You know,
pretty gnarly. Good old
oh, how could you not get behind that? But and so I'm trying to think because, like I said, when we met, you were absolutely already addicted. You were already kind of a monster. I didn't have the full appreciation for it, but I do remember the day that we became friends. Your friend Toby was visiting from out of town, and we were all gonna go grab dinner afterwards, and like we hadn't hung out before. You're like, "Hey Toby, you want to watch me fuck up a blind guy?" And then, I just what I'm really getting at there is who the hell do you think you are?
I just like messing with people who can't see.
Yeah, that's fair.
I have an advantage here.
Yeah, a little bit, but um,
No, but I feel like I don't think that it's true when you say that, I was always, like, beating the crap out of you, because I feel like a lot of the times I remember rolling with you, I was just stuck underneath you in, like, bottom half.
yeah, I'm going for this thing where like the audience feels real bad for me, you know. So I just
It was
yes,
an
just
awful heat
poking my eyes, yeah. But I I mean, I don't remember. Were you competing that early on? Like, were you competing as a white belt back in the early days?
Dude, yeah, I competed for the first time, I think not even 3 months in. My
Which is
first my first was, like,
ridiculous.
in February 2021, I think.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, typically 3 months in, like people might have one thing that they kind of like in moments of like dire need, they can think of what they need to do in their mind, but not actually do it. And you were already competing.
Yeah, it was like I competed at a grappling industries,
Mhm.
white belt, like 135 pounds or whatever, and I did like 6 matches in the gi, 5 matches no gi, and I won gold in the gi and then silver in no gi,
That's insane.
all by like arm bars, I think, and like triangles, which are like still my thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say so I just went down and visited Ally and what, 2 weeks ago. And yeah, that's still your favorite go-to. It's different variations, but it's always the armbar, which is
Different
funny.
status.
So, I mean, along that timeline, you started teaching at Dark Horse, and then I guess what's the progression from, okay, I'm 3 months in and I know this is something I want to do to now I'm starting to do something with it. Like when was this first like individual event? Because I know there's the initial competition in the addiction. You had started you had co-founded a rash guard and like jujitsu apparel company at one time. Also, you guys were building the social media following that, if I remember right, was also blowing up. I feel like you guys had like tens of thousands of followers at the time.
Yeah, so, I mean, the rash guard thing was mostly Eric's, so for those of you who don't know, is my ex, but he also trained with me, at Dark Horse, still a good friend of ours. But he had this company called Armbar Addict, where, or I guess it wasn't even a company. It was just a Instagram page where he had reposted arm bars, and I really liked arm bars. Obviously, kind of fell into it naturally. Not because of like his. I mean, I guess probably he showed me some arm bars too, but I just kind of naturally found a love for it. So he had been wanting to turn it into some kind of like merch thing for a while, and I was like, okay, well, I can build a website and I can do graphic design, so let's just do this thing. And we tried it out. It worked pretty good for a while, but it just kind of got too busy because I had full-time job. He was teaching at the gym and everything, and I wanted to compete like more consistently. So we didn't really follow through with that, but or we didn't follow through with it at all, actually, I should say. But yeah, we did end up getting like a pretty big TikTok following at one point. I feel like it was like 80,000 followers, but the account doesn't exist anymore. We were just doing like meme videos, like, like this is what
Like,
happened in there.
yeah.
Yeah, just climbing into like the jokes of jujitsu and like, oh, like the blue belt showed up after getting promoted. Like, ha ha ha, like stupid stuff
Oh,
like.
yeah. Okay. Like playing the algorithm on stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and it was fun to do for a bit, but yeah, it just kinda got too much, and, like, I was just too busy and really wanted to focus on the actual training.
Okay. I guess, yeah, I had missed some of the details in there for sure.
Well, it's hard because you can't see it, so.
That is hard. Yeah, that is a tough factor there. Um, but I mean, did that play a role in you starting to make moves into like, okay, this is the hobby into becoming something that's actually like more serious?
Yeah, I think so. So I mean, I think just like my love for competing in the first place really made that effect. Because I didn't know anything about jujitsu like outside of Dark Horse Combat Club, or like outside of the Denver competition scene. But what I did know was that I felt like I was competing against the same girls every single weekend that I compete, and I felt like I wasn't progressing in the way that I knew that I could. I don't know how I knew that, but something inside me was like, you can be doing better. And because like the reason I say that is like, how would I know what I don't know? If that makes sense. But like, I just had this feeling that I needed to go somewhere different in order to grow. So I asked Eric. He knew, more about the jujitsu scene than I did. And he was like, we could move to Austin, Texas. He's like, everybody just moved there from Puerto Rico or whatever because they're all there from COVID. This is like Danaher and all the B team guys. He's like
And
this.
I just for people listening, these are the biggest names in jujitsu. I mean, this is there's a real professional scene in this sport, but these
Yeah.
guys making
So
huge amounts of money, and they all relocated to Austin.
yeah. So Danaher is like kind of the head of everything. He's like considered the best coach in the world. Then underneath him was Gordon Ryan and Craig Jones. And they ended up splitting off and creating separate teams. So when I first went to Austin, it was because Eric wanted to train with John Danaher, who's the best coach in the world. So we came here. I had no idea who any of them were. I was like a year into training, I think. Um, I had just gotten my blue belt a couple months before, and I started training with him. I really liked the classes. I learned a ton. It was like my mind was blown every time I was in a class. But I did not like the like environment. It felt like everybody was trying to kill me when I was rolling because they all wanted to impress the head guy. And I had like told this to somebody at an open mat, a woman's open mat, and they were like, "Oh, you should go try out B team." And B team is where the other guy that I mentioned before, Craig Jones, and some of his guys started a gym just like, 30 minutes south of where I was training originally. So I tried it out there, loved the vibe, and now that's where I've been since.
Wow. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that you guys actually trained under Donner, and I isn't I'm pretty sure he had like a PhD in philosophy or something, and then he got hooked on jujitsu and has gone down this rabbit hole where, yeah, now he's coaching like the biggest killers in the world.
Yeah, and he's so smart and like he's really good at like creating systems and like kind of putting jujitsu in this like it's he like categorizes everything in a way that's like really easy to learn. You know, his videos are pretty like dry and like hard to get through, but if you can sit through it, you can learn a lot because he does like every technique has like he shows like every little mechanical movement within it, you know, and he's very like it's very systematized, I guess. Um, but yeah, so he had like his star student is Gordon Ryan, who's like the probably one of the most famous, or he's the most famous grappler right now. And then he also had like Nikki Rod, who's also one of the most famous grapplers right now. But yeah, so I trained with Nikki Rod and then Nikki Ryan, who's Gordon Ryan's brother, and then a couple of the other guys that all train with Craig Jones. So it's like a little, they call it the B team because they peeled off of the A team.
Yeah, isn't that Craig Jones's thing? Because he was like, yeah, I was never the best, so I was always like number
Yeah.
two. So we're
I
B
think
team.
pretty much in every like big promotion, he was always losing to his teammate Gordon Ryan.
Yeah.
He was always, you know, Gordon would get gold and Craig would get silver. So that's kind of the joke at B team is that you always get silver. You're always second place.
And I had heard Craig Jones's name like a lot, obviously in the jiu-jitsu space, but he was on Rogan's podcast promoting the CJI event. Oh, I don't know, a couple of months ago. He is fucking hilarious.
Dude, he's so funny. That guy can like promote literally anything and it'll get so many views. He could literally promote like a toothbrush and it'll be the funniest thing. He's just like he's like a marketing genius and then just like the way that he speaks is already hilarious. He's got like
And he's an Aussie.
yeah, yeah, and he's just like just his cadence is hilarious. So, yeah, he's just a natural at it.
Does he actually teach at B Team?
He used to, yeah, but right now he's just been traveling around the world, which honestly, I don't blame him because he did jujitsu for so long, and I think he's just training all over the world and kind of doing what he wants now. So I'm happy for him.
Like teaching seminars and stuff?
Yeah, yeah, he does seminars. He's actually been doing a lot of like fundraiser, like nonprofit type seminars too, where he'll donate to like third world countries, like BJJ communities to help keep kids off the street. So he does like a lot of
Uh,
charity work that way, which is pretty cool.
that's really neat. There is a I think he's an army vet. I can't remember. I've only connected with him online, but he lives up in Fort Collins, which is, it's out of reaching distance for someone who can't drive. But he's an amputee and he's a black belt and he competes. I think Abu Dhabi has a para tournament that they put on
Oh, no way.
here, and he's trying to make a move to make that a bigger movement here in the States because that's not a Paralympic sport. Judo is, but not jujitsu. And
Yeah.
it'd be amazing if somehow Craig Jones could find out about something like that and put some money behind it.
Yeah, I mean, he just did the CJI this past August and raised like I can't even remember how much, but it was a ton of money for Tap Cancer Out. They partnered up with Tap Cancer Out, which actually you competed at. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was my first tournament.
Yeah, and you
That's the
won,
first
didn't
one.
you?
I should have. I got second.
Yeah.
I locked in an arm bar on a guy as we were rolling out of the mat space or the circle, whatever it is. I realized as I said that, I don't know how they mark the mats. I just know that there's a boundary and we were crossing it. So yeah, I got second.
There. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was a fun one. It was super cool to watch you compete.
Yeah, there's a video somewhere of you guys screaming when I chased a guy in a scramble and slammed him on a double leg. I got
You absolutely destroy them.
that was the highlight. It's been all downhill from there, real. But since since you were talking about old Gordon Ryan and his family, his brother Nicky, and I figured this might as well be a good time to bring up your recent drama with the Ryan family. Would you like to explain this to people?
Yeah, yeah. So you're talking about the match, right? The
Yeah.
no match? Yeah.
So and I because you mentioned this while I was down in Austin, and I looked into it, and like it was on Reddit. People are talking about. I was like, I mean, like weighing in, like people are going back and forth and arguing on like, all right, what's the relevance of this versus, like good thing she got destroyed. But do you want to set the scene for everybody in the context of knowing that? Craig Jones is his troll and
Yeah, for sure.
what happened.
You have any limitations on like what I can talk about as far as okay, I don't know if children are gonna be like
No.
this is like a child friendly this is not a child friendly story. Um so yeah, I was competing the Cisco, we'll take it back a month before. I was competing on EBI, which is Eddie Bravo Invitational. Eddie Bravo, for those you don't know, he's a legend in the sport. He's like best buddies with Joe Rogan, super famous dude. He has a promotion called EBI, Eddie Bravo Invitational. So I was lucky enough to be on that. I had a match against a girl from 10th Planet down here. She's like been in the scene for a really long time. She's like nearly a black belt. Um, Long story short, she beat me with a knee bar right in front of Gordon Ryan and Gordon Ryan's girlfriend. The next day, I get a message like, "Hey, Ally, they're calling you out for a match against Natalia, who's Gordon Ryan's girlfriend, on WNO." And WNO is like a really big promotion. It's a professional platform. Um, I was like, "Hell yeah, put me in. Let's do this thing." And knowing that she just saw me lose, and that's why she was calling me out. She's trying to get back into the competition scene,
Uh,
and she's trying to build her brand as a competitor, not as Gordon Ryan's girlfriend, which I totally understand, but
it's fair. Yeah.
joke's on her for calling me out like that. So I'm going into this like a lot of pressure on myself because I want to win this thing. Like there's some drama with the family. Obviously, Gordon Ryan, Nikki Ryan, they're brothers, but they are at different gyms. There's a lot of stuff, in the past that's not my story to tell, nor do I know enough about it to tell about it. But, I know there's some drama there. And uh yeah, so there's pressure on all ends. I want to beat this girl who's on my rival team. I want to beat this girl who is my black belts, like his sorry, my black belt is Nikki Ryan, his brother's girlfriend, So it's like this whole thing. Um, so I'm going into it prepping super, super hard. I know I called my shot like a week before. I was like, I'm gonna Choi bar this girl because I was, this is the Choi bar is a type of arm bar, like an arm lock. So I called my shot to my coach and I just kind of went in like I didn't really think I had anything to lose, but I did because of what I was wearing, and I didn't know the joke behind it. Um,
Oh, you didn't know? They just set you up?
no, yeah. So the people, so
So much better.
it's so funny, dude. Because like I said, when I came to Texas, I didn't know who any of these people were. These are famous jujitsu people. I don't know anything about them because I live under a rock. I just do it because I love it. Um, so Craig Jones is a troll, right? So he made this rash guard that's like the Bulls, like the basketball team. And it says like number 2 on it because like we're number 2, Bulls, and then on the like really small on the shorts it says "Cuck the World," and it's to make fun of uh Gordon and Nat, and basically it's like because everybody calls Gordon Ryan a cuck, and a bull is the person that has sex with the girl in front of the cuck. So
For those at home, a cuck is short for cuckold, which is someone who likes to watch their wife or their significant other get pounded out by someone else. But
so I didn't know any of this. I thought it was just a cool design. I'm over here like la di da di da. I have no idea what's going on. The guys, this is not the guys, not like Nikki Ryan or anybody. I don't think he even knew I was gonna wear it. Just like some of the guys that are like working at the gym, but not the professional coaches or anything, not the professional athletes or anything. These are like just some guys people probably don't really know, but they they were like, "Ally, wear this," and I was like, "Okay, cool, I'll wear that." So I wore this rash guard, went on stage, sold out show. It was so sick. Rolling with this girl, 5 minutes in, I break her arm. I get up. First time I meet Gordon Ryan, I'm wearing a Bulls jersey, making fun of him and his girl. Shake his hand, shake John Danaher's hand. John Danaher is actually very nice to me because I think he remembered me from when I was taking his classes, and he was like, "Very well done, lady."
wait, you broke his girlfriend's arm?
Yeah, it was so if you
Oh
picture
my God.
like if you hold your arm out in front of you and you bend it inwards, how it's supposed to bend, and about, I don't know, like 30 degrees or so. That bend, but the opposite direction is how I had her arm.
Do
So,
you feel it? So I haven't snapped I haven't snapped anything, right? Like, can you feel that when it pops?
oh yeah, hers was disgusting because so I knew this is the thing with women's jujitsu. Women are so insanely flexible. When I'm in the gym rolling with a guy and I do a shoulder lock or an arm bar or anything on them, they tap so fast. When I do it to a girl in a competition, it's like you have to go balls to the wall and actually break their shit or else they're not gonna tap. So I take my position from having a regular, like, baseball bat grip to going fully push. I go 2 hands over the top of her wrist and push down over my hip. So her elbow literally goes completely backwards and her hand, like, touches the mat next to me.
Dude,
And I hear it go like, it's
that
disgusting.
gives me the EBGB so bad. Like,
Pretty gnarly. So then, after that, like, I go up and hug Nikki Ryan. I hug the rest of my coaches because 'cause I'm just celebrating, "Let's go," this is sick. Then everything starts to blow the fuck up because I'm getting now like, people are understanding the reference of the Bulls jersey. People are like, "Oh my god, this is, like, B team girl versus new wave girl. This is on Who's Number One." People are freaking out. A lot of people were, like, saying that I was Nikki Ryan's girlfriend, which is hilarious because he's just my coach. I went to go hug him. People were just gossiping everywhere about everything. And yeah, it just like it really blew up, which was cool for sure. But it was also like, what is going on? It was kind of insane.
wow. And I mean, did you get paid for that? Like, when those Who's Number One matches, is that a
Yeah, yeah,
professional setting?
yeah. It's a professional event, and the one that I had mentioned before that too, the EBI one, that's professional as well. So at this point
Uh,
now, I've done think like 3 or 4 professional events where I get paid just to show up. But unfortunately, it didn't that WNO didn't have like a win purse or anything like that. I just got, the clout, which is cool too.
I would imagine that was a huge, like, regardless of the fact that there was no money involved there, like, yeah, that's a big step in your career, I would
Yeah.
think.
I got a lot of really, really good things from it, like, gotten opportunities, to do seminars. I've gotten people asking me for, like, instructionals. I've gotten, competition opportunities. People, like, now when I go to, like, jujitsu events, like, ask me for pictures, which is crazy. Like, actually, I was just in Vegas for Worlds, and I was in the TSA line at the airport at 4:30 in the morning, and a group of guys came up to me and was like, "Oh my god, I'm a huge fan of you. Can I get a picture?" And I'm like, "What is happening? This is crazy."
That's bizarre.
Yeah,
That
it's
that
great.
has that just been since that fight, or not Fight to Win? Oh my gosh, the Who's
The
Number
W
One match?
Yeah, yeah. So even at like CJI in August, this was like a month or 2 after the WNO match, like people at CJI were like coming up to me being like, "Oh my god, I'm a huge fan. Like, can you show me that toy bar you hit? Like, can I get a picture with you?" And it was like weird because I'm just hanging out with my friends who like think I'm an idiot, and they were like,
No,
like,
dude.
"Oh, you're getting pictures taken with it." They're all just making fun of me. So it's like it's cool. It's like it's like a little baby burst of recognition.
That's nuts, and especially, I mean, when you guys when you and Eric had first moved down to Austin, you had at some point in that first, like, 6 months or a year, like, you had something lined up to have I think it was your first pro match, and then you snapped your leg,
Yeah.
right? You wanna walk us through that? And, I mean,
Yeah.
that was
So
right at, like, the cusp of you starting to step into, like, this new era of your jujitsu career, and then that happens.
yeah, I mean, honestly, in hindsight, I could not be more thankful for a traumatic injury like that because I was supposed to be on that same WNO stage a year before going against Helena Cravar, who is a like teen prodigy who trains under Danaher as well. She's lost like one match in the past like I don't even know how many years, but like dude, she's crazy good. She's quite a bit heavier than me as well, but I was like, "You know what? I'll take the match. Screw it. Let's."
Damn, Helena, she's calling you fat.
Um, so I just like decided to take it because I don't know. I'll take pretty much any match that's offered to me, but I decided to take it. And then I was really anxious about it. So I resorted back to what I know. And I went to go skateboard to like blow off some steam, which is like something I've done for years and years, like with my friends when I was coaching snowboarding and whatever. Never had an issue with it. I was showing my friend how to do a pump track, like the baby pump track. And there was a stick and I hit it wrong on my wheel. I snapped my tib fib, dislocated my ankle, tore a giant ligament. My leg was dangling from my shin. That's another two of those in this podcast.
That was karma for your dad breaking that guy's leg with Dunkin' Donuts. He ruined that man's day, and it came back 20 years later.
I like barely reset. I reset my own foot on site and held it together. Just like adrenaline. I was laughing. I was fine. Didn't feel any pain.
You were doing that play. You had to have. That's like that. Hey, I fell in public. Oh, it didn't hurt. Look at it. I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm good.
It was absolutely crazy. I was literally dying laughing. Like they brought me to the ER. I had to get put on like propofol and ketamine and then have my leg reset there. They like didn't believe me at first that it was broken because I was so chill. I think the adrenaline was just on. And then yeah, I got surgery a couple weeks later. Um, in Massachusetts, I had to fly from Austin to Massachusetts with a broken leg because I was on my dad's insurance at the time.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, got my ligament restructured, ankle put back in place. I got a plate and like 7 or 8 screws put in. And dude, that was like the worst time of my life for sure. I was like, honestly, if my parents weren't there, if I wasn't with them at that time, I don't even know what I would have done because I was so depressed and like couldn't move around. I thought I just lost the match of my lifetime. I thought I lost like my big break in jiu-jitsu. Um, the doctors were saying I wasn't even going to be able to train for a year. Uh, that year would have been this past July. I've been I've been competing since February. So I started competing 5 months before I was supposed to be able to train again.
Whoa. And so you had like, it was like this come to Jesus moment where you're like, wow, I had everything lined up and was finally kind of getting a break. And then this
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, but you know, in hindsight, like that was good that I missed that match because if I had done that match against Helena Cravar, I would have gotten subbed quickly. I would have been 0-1 on who's number one. Um, I wouldn't have had like this whole like rivalry thing where I did this like cool, hilarious thing put on by Craig Jones that like made fun of this other team that would have gotten me like the recognition that I got with this who's number one. I would have just been like, I would have done that one, it would have been over, and I probably would just be, like, kind of in a stagnant position right now. So I think it all kinda happened for a reason, you know, I don't always believe in that kinda thing, but, you know, it's cool to look at it that way in hindsight, and also, it definitely made me take everything more seriously. I
Yeah.
start I started lifting, got, like, so much stronger. I started, like, taking care of my nutrition a lot more, making sure I had, like, the right vitamins and everything because I had super low vitamin D, which, you know, doesn't help the bones.
Yeah.
You know, I just started taking things a lot more seriously. I sold my skateboard, sold my bike, like, sold everything with wheels on it. I only do jujitsu or, like, super, super low risk sports now. Because, yeah, this is what I want, and I know I have to focus on it, so it's probably good a good eye opener for me.
Well, and that was actually something I wanted to ask and that you just touched on. I mean, because we caught up on this when I was just down in Austin. I mean, you have a nutritionist, you have a trainer, yeah, you have the real programming behind your training. Like, when was that all after who's number one, or like what's the buildup phase there from between injury, the big matches? I'm- I have no experience with something like that, so I'm curious. Like, how does that progression work?
Yeah, so, injury was July 2023. Um, I knew that I wanted to do ADCC trials, and I knew that I had to do the 55 kgs, which is like 121 pounds, that bracket, and I walk around like between 135, 140.
Okay.
Um, so that's a big cut. So I decided while I was hurt, I was like, my goal is gonna be I'm gonna do ADCC trials and I'm gonna make it to day 2. That was what I said to myself. That was like the only thing keeping me going. Um, So I did what I could to like connect with some friends, find a nutritionist because I knew the cut was gonna be really hard. It's cutting, 19 pounds. Um, so I found a nutritionist, Guam. He's from Guam. That's so he just goes by the name Guam
What a
Nutrition.
creative name.
Yeah, he's awesome. So he helped me kind of get my eating back on track. Helped me. A couple people helped me with lifting before this, like who's number one match. I have a trainer now that's I've been consistent with since. But yeah, I had some like random people help me with lifting. Um, but yeah, Guam like really got me on track for the ADCC trials. So I wasn't able to make the October 2023 one because it was just too close to my leg.
Yeah.
I was still learning how to walk again. I didn't even think I had full weight bearing by October. I think I only started fully weight bearing by December. Um, so a year ago now. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna do the one in March. So that was pretty much it. Like as soon as I was able to do weight bearing, I like got this nutritionist, started really taking care of myself. I started taking peptides too, which helped a lot. Went ham on my PT, and just like kind of got
Roiding.
what's up?
Roiding. You were telling me you have chest hair now.
Yeah, I was doing trend.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just like I said, it was just a big wake up call. It kind of showed me I needed to ask for help too, and not just like try to do everything on my own because I don't know anything about nutrition. I don't know anything about weightlifting. But now I have these people that I can reach out to about the questions that I still have, and it helps me uh like get to where I need to be for whatever weight I need to make or anything.
That's really cool. I mean, it's hard to imagine what it's like to have like a team like that where you're like, okay, yeah, I'm in this next step where I'm getting professional help on things. I don't know. That's really, really neat.
Yeah, I kind of just felt lost. Like, when I was hurt, like couldn't walk anything right after surgery. My dad was like, "All right, you're gonna go outside every day for hours." He made me sit outside in my cast, sit outside. It was like luckily summer, so it was beautiful out. But he's like trying his best to not let me get depressed.
Oh, you're being a real sad girl.
Oh, dude, it was awful. And actually, funny enough, or not funny, I guess, but my mom just got the same injury. She broke her tib fib, had surgery, literally like a couple weeks ago. And I call her and I try to call her every day, every other day, and make sure she's doing okay. But she's like, I didn't realize how bad this was. She's like, I feel like I wasn't like compassionate enough when you were hurt, which she totally was. She made me dinner every night and hung out with me and whatever. But she's like, kind of realizing, she's like, I didn't realize how much this sucked, like how like debilitating it is, obviously, because you don't have a leg, but then also just like not being able to move around and be active, which is like definitely something that helps out with like anxiety and everything. So
Yeah.
she's kind of like going through that same struggle now, so it's kind of like relieving. Not that I want my mom to be hurt, but it's kind of nice that she understands what I was going through at the time because it was bad. But yeah, anyway, I was saying that my dad was having me do these like rubber band exercises with like resistance bands just with my arms, just doing anything. He'd have me like lay down on the coffee table and do like bench presses with them.
Mhm.
And that's kind of just like what kept me sane in the moment, and then also kind of led into like the lifting arc that I've had. And then
It all started there.
it all started there in my living room in my childhood home. But when I started lifting by myself in the gym, I was like, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. So then I started asking questions and finally found this lifting coach that he actually trains at BT. He owns a gym nearby, a big warehouse gym, and he knows what he's doing. He's been doing it for years and years and years, and he's gotten me pretty jacked.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like people really, we all know this, right? Like people talk about it anytime that there's an injury or like a severe illness in somebody's family, like you do totally take your health for granted. Like it's
Over.
even just if you get the flu and you're out for a week, like if you get the flu real bad or some food poisoning, and then you're like, man, well, like that, you do kind of have a come to Jesus moment where you're like, all right, what do I need to do to not have this happen again? And it is. I don't. It's interesting how resets like that can kind of cause a
I think
shift.
it's good for you. Like, I think that that break, like I remember saying this when it happened, like I was in the ER, like just upset that I lost this opportunity. I said this to my friends that were with me. I was like, this is gonna sound kind of extreme, but it's pretty crazy how quickly things can change. And it made me like really, really appreciative for what I have. Because I was thinking about it in the context of like, if that can happen that quickly and I can be just fine, like having a good like summer day with my friends, like just dicking around at the skate park, and all of a sudden now I just feel like I lost everything and I'm in the hospital. Like, what can happen if you get in a car accident and like things just happen so quickly and we take it for granted so much that it's a good eye opener. Like, I'm glad that it happened in a way that wasn't like, me being like in a coma or something like that. It was something, it was like an extremity, so it wasn't anything, that I wasn't able to get out of. Um, I feel really lucky that it was just something, it was just a broken bone. It's like
Yeah.
something I can come back from. That was able to make me realize like how precious every moment is, like how careful you have to be. We're not invincible. Even though we like to believe that.
Yeah. I mean, I had that experience, as you can imagine, after I shot myself, like where especially, getting back, like fighting to get back into things. Obviously now I was totally blind. And so I'm not just having to wait for something to heal. I'm having to relearn how to do everything. But you totally appreciate when you do have something back. I mean, even like it was being able to take myself to the bathroom at first, like, I don't have to have a nurse here to wipe my ass. Like that, you start to appreciate all that little stuff. And it's interesting. It becomes very introspective on even like the smallest of things. But it's funny, if it when it comes back to like being sick, you do forget about that stuff though. Like you have to be conscious to remind yourself of okay, I was 6 months ago, I was very appreciative of this when I just got it back. Like I still need to be that way and like be mindful
Exactly.
of those
And
things.
it's crazy how quickly you forget too. Like, I'll be having a bad day, like, because 'cause I'm stressed out about work or stressed out about, my training didn't go so good, or, I'm having whatever boy problem, and I'm all pissed off at the world, and it's just it escapes you so quickly, which is insane. Because like, literally a year ago, all I wanted was to be able to walk again. And now I'm complaining that, like, I have too much work to do, or I have too much training to do, or I'm complaining that I have to go lift. Like, I'm lucky I get to go lift, you know? So it's
Yeah,
like
with a team who's like actually behind you and like driving this program for you and wants you to succeed.
exactly. So it's like you gotta be really, really conscious of the things that we're lucky to have. Because I feel like it's just so easy to take things for granted, and it's kind of like upsetting because it's like, how do you how do you stay conscious enough to remind yourself of that every single day? But then it's like, everybody does it. Everybody forgets how lucky we are, and just like, they take things for granted. So I think it is good sometimes to have something, traumatic like that happen, as much as it sucks. Like, obviously I don't wish it upon people, but sometimes you need it. Like, I feel like
Adversity is good.
yeah.
Absolutely. Like it's that stuff is that discomfort absolutely drives growth if you come at it the right way, right? Like it can also drive you into a miserable, like self-pitying person who doesn't really go anywhere. But yeah,
That's true. Yeah, you have to drive in the right direction.
yeah, it's all about perspective. And I mean, those things at the end of the day, like they are choices, which is, I feel like people don't talk about that a lot, right? Like we glaze over, we glaze over the, okay, this thing happened. This is where I am now. Like we don't talk about that stuff in the middle. Like there's a lot of stumbling and it can get very out of hand very fast with, again, if you don't choose to do the right things and to go about things the right way
Yeah, you like constantly have to check yourself. It's pretty crazy.
before you
This
wreck yourself.
this is definitely the most serious conversation we've ever had, like, ever.
Yeah, I just, I didn't even think about that till you just said it. There's a certain level of goon that usually goes on when we're hanging out, but
I didn't know we could do it.
dude, it's so funny because like people ask me to come speak at events and stuff like that. And it's, usually it's, I have a connection to this organization or whatever it is. There's someone in the middle that knows me well that is like if on on behalf of the organization asking me to go speak. And they're like, hey man, but you can't say anything fucked up. I'm like, I can be serious. I can be serious. Like this is just because I choose to be silly. Like this is, I promise I'm still an adult sometimes. But
It's just in your nature.
yeah, I mean, I try not to take things too seriously. I don't.
I mean, I think
It's better that
that's
way.
a really good way to be, honestly. I feel like the smartest people I know, and also the happiest people I know, don't take things too seriously.
Yeah, and again, that's perspective. That's you choosing to frame it that way. But
Yeah.
like, I have a one of my buddies. It's my buddy Joey, who was supposed to come meet us in Austin to go to the Mothership show.
Yep.
Force Recon Marine got blown up in the war. That's how he's legally blind, but that's how he's lost his sight, and he is the silliest 40-year-old man that I've ever met in my life. And no, but like we've had these conversations because, when I was drinking, like we would drink together and, we'd get into real serious conversations with stuff. And I'm like, dude, how can you go through having gone through that stuff? Like it's so hard for me to picture you knowing the Joey that I know now in that role as a Force Recon Marine. I mean, this was Force Recon is like Recon is already special forces in the Marine, but then Force Recon is the more like direct action tier of that. And it's since spread off also into the Marine Special Operations Command called MARSOC. But like back in the day, like he was a pipe hitter. Like this is the real deal. And like he's just this goober now. And when you ask him about it, he's like, yeah, man, I made a choice when, I spent 2 years in the hospital recovering from my injuries around, I was in charge of these other injured Marines, and sometimes they'd go into surgery and they wouldn't come out, and I'd have to hug their crying mothers. And some of these stories are his to tell, but he saw some fucked up shit in the hospital with these guys who were coming back maimed and now at the lowest points of their lives. And he's like, I made a choice that I was not going to be that person. I was not going to let that capture me. And I'm just going to be silly because I have fun that way. Everybody has more fun that way. I like being this way. And I don't know. There's something powerful to that, like that, making that choice and dictating like where you're going to go with that. Because if anyone has an excuse to be a miserable, alcoholic piece of shit, it's that guy.
Hmm.
And he doesn't. But
Yeah. It's pretty special to be able to make that decision and actually follow through with it. It's really good.
yeah, yeah. But thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Let's I guess before we get into what's next for you, I just realized I should probably do a public disclaimer. You and I were talking about this when I was down in Austin. We were talking about your social media following, and you're like, yeah, it's blowing up on Instagram. And naturally I asked, I'm like, all right, how many dirty dudes are trying to slide into your DMs? We went we went through all that. I was like, all right, how many of those are dick pics? And you're like, too many. And then you're like, also, there's this feature on there where people can, what is it? They can, subscribe for extra content or something like through your Instagram.
Yeah.
And I immediately went to like, oh my God, people are going to think that's an OnlyFans. Like, I guess so to dispel those rumors and those assumptions, what kind of extra content are you offering on Instagram that people that want to learn from you can take hold of?
So since we had that conversation and I realized how everybody thinks it's an OnlyFans, I put in my bio, subscribe to see more jujitsu and lifting content. So in my subscribe only, yeah, yeah. I want people to know. I don't want people to think it's one thing and waste their money.
Yes, that's fair. That's fair.
So I just have like more jujitsu stuff. I'll take pictures, while I'm on trips competing and whatever, and kind of put that stuff that I don't share on my main feed in there. So it's more just behind the scenes, but I haven't done
Blog?
yeah, kind of like that, but, you
Okay.
know, I haven't been consistent with it at all, and I feel really bad about it because there are like, I have, like, maybe, like, 19 subscribers or something, which I appreciate, and I think a lot of them do it just to support me because they know I can use, the help because 'cause I'm
Yeah.
struggling athlete out here. Um, but yeah, I want to start being more consistent for the people that support me, and I'm gonna start actually, hopefully this week, after I'm done running my promotion, which we can talk about in a little bit. I'm gonna do match breakdowns of my matches, basically just doing voiceovers, stuff like that, explaining what
Oh.
happens. Probably take them along on like a couple lifting days. I don't like to be the person that like films in the gym too much.
Yeah, don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Be sold by that guy.
But luckily, because the gym is like a big warehouse gym and it's like 24-hour access, I can go when there's not really anybody there and kind of film in a corner. So I might do something like that just like, once in a while, but most of it's gonna be, jujitsu content, yeah.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I mean, and you're starting to teach seminars, right?
Yep. Yeah, so I'm actually doing I've done a couple seminars, but I'm doing my first seminar tour in February, which I'm really excited about. My friend and I, my best friend Katie, who you would love, dude. You guys are like 2
Is
peas in
she
a
the
pod.
is she the car jitsu chick
Yeah, she's
that you
batshit.
talked about? Okay.
She's absolutely insane. You would love her to death. But yeah, so she and I are teaming up and we're doing like I think we have like 6 or 7 seminars lined up in New England. Or actually not New England, the East Coast, because we're gonna be in Jersey, New York, I think Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, potentially Vermont. Kind of just going around doing seminars at some gyms that we know people at or people that have reached out to us. I'll also be, like, competing down there. It's gonna be a good time.
It's a smart move because I mean, if it'll be successful in the ass crack of the country like that, it'll be successful anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's cool to go back to the homeland and share what I've learned out here because it's definitely, like, a smaller community out there than it is here. It's pretty big in Austin. Austin, like, San Diego are 2 of the biggest places for jujitsu, so
Yeah. You could, uh you could do an Amish tour, start taking to the Dutch homies. Yeah,
I should definitely do that.
that could be your niche. Yeah.
I was actually just talking to one of my friends too about uh doing some kind of like paywall type video, like whether it's Patreon or something like that, where I can do like cheap instructionals because people keep asking me for instructionals on my one move, my Choi bar, like on the internet. Like somebody just asked me, a little bit before we got on this podcast, like asking for an instructional. So I think I'm gonna do one and make it, pretty cheap because I'm not a huge name. Uh,
Yeah.
but just something for the people that support me and who want to learn from me because there are some of them out there. I don't really know why, but they're there.
Well, I mean, why not? Give it a shot. You can't hurt anything.
There's lots that I wanna do, like, I wanna do a YouTube as well because I think that'd be fun. There's not really a female in jujitsu with a YouTube that's made for jujitsu. Uh,
Okay.
and I feel like it would be something I could market towards, like, more beginners, like white belt, blue belts, or people that are, like, kinda newer to competing or something, or people, that just want the entertainment. So, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out kinda what avenue I wanna take, but I definitely wanna do something like that because I already do video editing for a living, so might as well just, work for myself some more.
Yeah, I mean, there's no barrier to entry there because you already know how to do all that stuff. So why not?
Yeah. The only thing
Yeah.
is just growing the balls to talk on camera.
You're doing it here. I don't know how long we've been on here because I can't see the clock, but we've been on here for a while.
Been about an hour. It's 4:30 for me.
Okay. Yeah. Well, do you want to get into, well, I guess take a step back. You'll have to keep us posted on developments with that stuff. Obviously, I'll share that around, but you want to talk about the invitation or not the invitational, the promotion that you're doing?
Oh, yeah. So, in 2 days, I'm hosting my first promotion. So, it's just gonna be super fights, which is just, like, 1v1s, there's not, like, a whole bracket, just, like, a one-off fight for, each person, and then also a 185-pound men's cash bracket. So whoever wins that wins $1,000. Thank you to everybody who has sponsored the event because I don't have that kind of money to just give out to people. Uh, but yeah, I have a lot of really good support around here of people who are willing to donate from their small businesses in order to help create promotions like this. But yeah, I'm hosting my first one with my friend Freddie. And it's going pretty good. I think we have like 20 super fights, and then we have like the 8-person bracket. So it's going to be a long day, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Is this because this episode won't come out until end of January, probably.
Uh-huh.
Um, is this going to be a recurring thing?
Yeah, yeah. So we're hoping to have another one in March ish.
So where should people go to check that out?
So the Instagram handle is BJJ World Championship, and it's just all one word like that. Yeah, or you can I advertise on my Instagram as well, which is just Ally Wolski.
Okay, and I'll have you send me links to all that stuff so I can add it in the show notes so people can go there. You got anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming through the gauntlet here. Let me pick your brain.
Oh yeah, of course.
Everyone, everyone at home, thank you for listening to episode 2 of Going In Blind. Make sure to check out the show notes and follow the links there. Support what I'm doing, support what Allie's doing, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.